In Venezuela, acting President Delcy Rodriguez called for an end to the rentier economy model and asserted that oil revenues will be used to improve the social protection system and optimize public services. The top official assured that this measure seeks to protect the rights of the Venezuelan people against fluctuations in the international market and to advance economic diversification. Rodriguez also emphasized that as part of the national government's efforts to break with the rentier economy, a national meeting on the communal economy has been convened. This is intended to protect the power of the people. In turn, the acting president underlined that the country's stability now depends on strong national production and efficient distribution of oil surpluses to meet the most urgent needs of the people. She also explained that, as conceived by the executive, the Venezuelan economy must develop through its various productive engines, leaving behind its historical dependence on hydrocarbons.
This
week we had a major national meeting, very important, the first national meeting on communal economy. We have to break with the rentier economic model. We're going to use oil revenues on the Venezuelan people to provide social protection for the Venezuelan people, and we are going to concentrate that revenue on services for our people to develop all sectors of the economy, as the president had envisioned. The development of the economy in a comprehensive way with strategic import substitution. And that is why this first meeting on communal economies is so important. And we are also convening a meeting of entrepreneurs.
In this context, Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez urged the people to participate in the public consultation of March 8th, highlighting the democratic values of Venezuelan society.
We must be prepared so that the community knows firsthand what their projects are, and that on March 8th, International Women's Day, we all go out and participate in this great popular consultation. What does the popular consultation mean? It means that the direct, participatory and leading democracy in Venezuela is the organized people. Who decides which investments should be allocated to this or that? That is what is relevant about democracy in Venezuela, and that is why we have complete faith and full confidence that Venezuelan democracy is today, more than ever, strengthened, that participatory and leading democracy in Venezuela is more meaningful and vibrant than ever. And those who have tried, both internally and externally, to destroy this democratic model will not be able to do so. The Venezuelan people have given countless examples that this is the way. This is the path of democracy, the path also to peace, the path to understanding. On Thursday, the National Assembly unanimously approved on its first reading the amnesty law, which should serve for peace and reconciliation in Venezuela, with the support of all political parties, reflecting diversity and pluralism.
Also in Venezuela, the consultation on the amnesty law continued with the participation of the People's Power. Communal justices of the peace joined the public consultation on the draft amnesty law for democratic coexistence. This was done with the aim of deepening the analysis of this legislative proposal approved in its first reading last Thursday by the National Assembly. In this sense, Deputy Jorge Arriaza explained that one of the objectives of the law is to create the conditions for the harmonious development of the country and to resolve internal differences. For his part, first Vice President of Parliament Pedro Infante clarified the ethical limits of the project by saying that it is not a law for forgetting or for impunity. And the Public Prosecutor's Office of Venezuela informed it has formally requested the revocation of the precautionary measure against citizen Juan Pablo Guanipa. Through an official statement, the office asserted that in the exercise of its constitutional and legal powers, it has requested the competent court to revoke the precautionary measure granted to citizen Juan Pablo Guanipa by virtue of having verified the failure to comply with the conditions imposed by the aforementioned jurisdictional body. The Public Prosecutor's Office followed the communication by reminding that the precautionary measures granted by the courts are conditional upon strict compliance with the obligations imposed on that failure, and that failure to comply empowers the judicial body upon request by the party to revoke or replace the measure previously granted in accordance with the legislation in force. In this regard, the office requested that the court take the appropriate legal action in order to safeguard the criminal proceedings to transfer the defendant to house arrest. Finally, the Public Prosecutor's Office invokes the spirit of the ongoing democratic coexistence and peace program, as well as the consultation of the amnesty law in order to guarantee the unity and reconciliation of Venezuelans at this historic moment. Venezuela calls for a space for national encounter within the framework of the Constitution of the Republic. Activists and fans of the U.S. football teams, the Seahawks and the Patriots, gathered at Levi's Stadium with banners protesting against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. In Santa Clara, California, where the Super Bowl was held, activists and fans who oppose ICE distributed towels with the slogan "ICE Out" as part of the cultural action flags in the stands. This was in protest of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. Should be noted that these actions were in protest of the persecution of immigrants by the United States government. Japan enters a new political phase after the snap elections, which consolidated Prime Minister Sanai Takaishi's position with a resounding parliamentary victory and strengthened mandate to advance her militaristic agenda, with direct implications for the stability of the Asia-Pacific region. Our correspondent in China, Bruno Folsi, brings us the details.
Greetings, comrades. I'm in Beijing now to report to you about the results of the Japan snap election that solidify the Prime Minister Sanai Takaishi position with a resounding victory, reinforcing her political and military agenda and directly impacting the stability in the Asia-Pacific region. According to official results, the LDP won more than 300 seats in the State Council, security along with its coalition, the 3/3 of the supermajority in the House, the largest since the World War II. The majority allows Takaishi to push through constitutional reforms, including the rewriting of the Article 9, which has limited Japan's military role since the post-war period, and expanding the capability of the armed force. Beijing views this shift as potentially destabilizing, especially given her plan for increased military spending and a strengthening in the Japanese defense. Her agenda also includes a tougher stand toward China, particularly regarding Taiwan, where any support for separatist force is considered a threat to regional peace and violation of the principle of non-interference. According to United Nations Security Council result, there is only one China, and Taiwan is part of it, a principle recognized by international community, including Japan and United States. The outcome not only consolidates Takaishi domestic power, but could also accelerate the militarization in the Asia-Pacific region, at a time when stability depends on multilateralism and regional dialogue. With this news from here, the capital of China, we return with you in the studios in La Habana, Cuba.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva took part in the 46th National Congress of the Workers' Party in Salvador over the weekend, reaffirming his leadership ahead of a possible re-election bid and voicing solidarity with Cuba and Venezuela amid tensions with the United States. Celebrating the party's anniversary, Brazil's president signaled the potential bid for re-election, declaring he is motivated to lead the defense of the country's democratic institutions as the South American giant heads into general elections towards the end of 2026. He also reiterated his call to strengthen regional sovereignty, expressing solidarity with Cuba and rejecting foreign interference in Venezuela's internal affairs amid increased U.S. aggressions in the region.
Que bom som para quem quiser ouvir. O nosso país.
Loud and clear for everyone who wants to listen. Our country is a sovereign country. We want to work with everyone, but we don't want owners. We don't want to be colonized again. Our country stands in solidarity with the Cuban people, who are victims of the massacre of speculation by the United States against them. And we must find a way as a party to help. What can we do? We have to say loud and clear that Venezuela's problem must be solved by the Venezuelan people, and not by the United States or by Trump. And now, Ambassador, every conversation, every meeting is about preventing countries from selling rare earths and critical minerals to China. It is somewhat hidden fight. It is all about China, against China. And I want to say that I am grateful, very grateful for the alliance that Brazil has with China, because it is a successful and respectful partnership.
And the Russian Federation confirmed talks to provide support to Cuba amid the ongoing United States blockade of energy resources on the island. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that the intensive contacts discussed different ways to resolve the problems caused by Washington's measures against the largest of the Antilles. The spokesperson denounced that the U.S. blockade is causing difficulties, so aid to the Caribbean island will be provided to the extent possible. At the end of January, U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to impose additional tariffs on imports from countries that supply oil to Cuba. Leaders of social organizations announced the start of a process to remove President Daniel Noboa from office almost 4 months after the national strike. The decision, they say, is in response to state violence during the protests, which left dead, mutilated and hundreds of injured. Our colleague Elena Rodriguez took a tour of Imbabura and shows us the reality facing the Ecuadorian people.
Almost 4 months have passed since the 31-day national strike. In Imbabura, life goes on, but the wounds are still open. Here, even the walls speak. From her terrace, Nancy remembers the Panamericano Norte highway turned into a battlefield. Armed soldiers facing communities that had only their voices. Jose Woman, one of the 4 fatalities of the strikes, arrived at her home. There, over 500 injured people were treated according to her estimate.
Los heridos pasaron por aquí, por mi casa.
The injured passed by here, by my house, so I knew that we had hundreds of injured people, some very badly, including our colleague woman, who also passed by here.
Pero como era una herida de bala ya, entonces tuvimos que sacarlo de urgencia.
But since it was a gunshot wound, we had to take him by ambulance to Ibarra, and there were other very seriously injured people who we had to take away in wheelbarrows because there were no cars.
Autos, no habían carros, no.
A Zaire lo sacaron en
Zaire was taken away in a wheelbarrow on October 14. He says that a military bullet ripped off his leg. He didn't protest, he helped the wounded. Although the scars still mark his body, he has not regrets.
No desmayes porque yo soy tu Dios.
Hoy
Today he has a message for Daniel Noboa.
Que renuncie más que
He
todo
should resign and let people who are seeking the welfare of the Ecuadorian people govern.
en pro de ayudar al pueblo ecuatoriano.
la violencia estatal.
State violence did not end with the uprising. Alfonso says he sees it every day in the neglect of his community. His artisanal leader breaks down when he remembers those days.
Sí nos rompe el corazón.
When we start talking about this topic, it breaks our hearts. Seeing my brothers bleeding with shotgun shells injured in their legs, face and arms.
Lastimados por las piernas, por la carita, por los brazos.
And seeing other brothers helping the injured and arriving at the health center and seeing the injuries covered in a pool of blood, that was brutal for us.
Eso era brutal para nosotros.
In Otavalo,
the epicenter of the national strike, violence was not an excess. For Pacha, it was a sustained policy, tear gas, bullets, and persecution that she claims cost the state nearly $800 million. Indigenous and farmer groups were the targets.
fueron el blanco.
Esta oligarquía rabiosa.
This rabid oligarchy cannot stand the people that says no. So the strongest shield they have to divide us as a people is racism. And it is important to understand that when they fail to achieve this, they instead seek to discipline us. They aim at our eyes, they aim at our legs, at our hands, so that we are left without a part of our body and learn to point.
Y aprendamos a señalar.
Las balas
The bullets pointed to the bodies. Memory points to those responsible.
Por eso,
That is
dirigentes
why national leaders announced the start of the process to revoke President Noboa's term of office.
Vamos por una revocatoria de mandato.
Let's go for a recall of the mandate. Social struggle or often children or mutilated brothers and sisters cannot remain unpunished.
No pueden quedarse.
El paro estalló
The strike broke out after the elimination of the diesel subsidy. State violence has not been redressed and the pain has not healed.
con imágenes de Juan Carlos Játiva, Elena Rodríguez, teleSUR Ecuador.
In Thailand, the conservative Phum Jai Thai Party topped Sunday polls without reaching the needed majority and now will seek partners to form a coalition government. From China, our correspondent Rafasi with the details.
Greetings, comrades. I'm here in Beijing to report to you about the results of the general elections in Thailand that consolidate as victor the Bujaitin Party, led by the Prime Minister Anutin. They won nearly 194 of the 500 seats in the House of Representatives. But without an absolute majority, the party will be able to form a government throughout alliance. The campaign was marked by a discourse of security and nationalism amidst the worst border conflict with Cambodia in decades, which left dozens of dead and nearly 1 million of displaced, a factor that influenced the political climate. Along with the vote, the voters decided to approve and initiate the reforms of the 2017 Constitution, drafted after the 2014 military coup, with the aim of reducing the military influence and expanding civilian participation. Beijing observes that Thailand's stability is key to Southeast Asia security and regional balance in a context of persistent tensions. With this news, from here, the capital of China, we return with you in the studios in La Habana, Cuba.
In Venezuela, acting President Delcy Rodriguez called for an end to the rentier economy model and asserted that oil revenues will be used to improve the social protection system and optimize public services. The top official assured that this measure seeks to protect the rights of the Venezuelan people against fluctuations in the international market and to advance economic diversification. Rodriguez also emphasized that as part of the national government's efforts to break with the rentier economy, a national meeting on the communal economy has been convened. This is intended to protect the power of the people. In turn, the acting president underlined that the country's stability now depends on strong national production and efficient distribution of oil surpluses to meet the most urgent needs of the people. She also explained that, as conceived by the executive, the Venezuelan economy must develop through its various productive engines, leaving behind its historical dependence on hydrocarbons.